Hello, welcome to today's skill acquisition screencast. The focus is on the theories of learning. Now, what we're going to be looking at over the next couple of lessons, we're going to be looking at three different theoretical approaches that basically slightly differ in their way that they believe learning takes place. So our aim, because we're looking at skill acquisition, is we're going to be looking at these learning theories in response to how we manage to learn sport skills. Okay, so the first one we're going to have a look at is operant conditioning. So what I'm going to do is go straight on to the next slide and just give you a bit of background into operant conditioning. Now, operant conditioning works on the following premise. It says that in order to learn, we have to condition or connect stimulus response bonds. So what I'm going to do is show you this in action. So we're going to look at a football pass, okay, to start with on an introduction slide. So if we're looking at a passing in football or a football pass, what we need to do is have an understanding of what a stimulus response bond might be. So we start off and think, right, passing in football, if that's our skill, the stimulus might be a free teammate in a game of football. Okay, the response may be a successful pass to a teammate. So if the stimulus is a free teammate, response is a successful pass to a teammate, what this theory proposes is that we have to try and connect this stimulus with this response. And in order to do this, we have to, as sports coaches, as teachers, we have to try and concentrate on two things. We need to practice this stimulus response bond. And then when this stimulus response bond happens, okay, if we practice it enough, it will strengthen, we'll connect it. And then once we get the connection and the strengthening, we can then use something called reinforcement. And if we use reinforcement effectively, this will strengthen and connect the stimulus response bond that will allow our behavior or skill learning to be permanent. Okay, now we have heard this idea of stimulus response bonds. We've looked at positive feedback. So what we're going to do is look at something slightly different called positive reinforcement as we come down to here. So what we're going to do now is going to split the screencast into two parts. So if we're going to connect a stimulus response bond for passing in football, we're going to firstly have a look at how we structure practices in order to promote operant conditioning of a stimulus response bond. Then we're going to look at how reinforcement can really help us strengthen a stimulus response bond. So two parts to the theory. Let's have a look at those in isolation now. So, operant conditioning then, okay, first key thing to make a note of, basically refers to connecting stimulus response bonds to enhance learning, okay, and that's the way that we learn according to this approach. So what I'm going to do now then, I've put it here, which we've seen before, passing in football is our concrete example, okay, and I've just put this in an example of how we can connect a stimulus response bond. Stimulus, if we're looking at passing, might be a free teammate, or teammate who is unmarked. The response would be that successful pass to a teammate. So in order to practice effectively to promote operant conditioning or the strengthening, connecting of stimulus response bonds, we're going to go through three key steps. The first one is called structure or structuring the conditions. Okay, what that means, if we are going to improve passing technique, for example, we need to structure the conditions. Now, in order to describe that, it could be called manipulating the environment. Okay, now what does that mean? If we're trying to improve passing technique and we want to structure the conditions or we want to manipulate or change the environment to enhance the passing technique, we could do the following. We could practice passing a football through a target or mini goal. So for example, if we're trying to increase our ability to pass in football, we might have football here, player there, and they pass the ball through the mini goal or target. Now this is our first stage of practicing to strengthen a stimulus response bond. Okay, now the second stage we would do is once we've manipulated the environment, we've changed the environment or structured the conditions, and we put the mini goal to pass through. Once we've done that, we then need to go through a period of trial and error, okay, which means we need to have multiple attempts at performing the skill. Okay, so what this might mean, e.g. 5 attempts, 10 attempts at passing through the target. Now, the last thing we need to have a look at is something called behavior shaping. Okay, and behavior shaping refers to the successful attempts at passing through, or successful attempts of a skill, form a response. Okay, so they start to form a response. What does that mean? Okay, for example, successfully passing through the target will form the correct passing response. Okay, so you can put that in extra if you want to put onto there. So successfully passing through the target will form the correct passing response. Now, hopefully you can see this and this will make sense to what you've done in the past. If we're going to learn according to operant conditioning, we need to understand that when there's a free teammate stimulus, the response, we want to have the response of a successful pass. In order to do that, we need to set up 3 key parts of practice. Okay, so we need to structure the conditions, trial and error, behaviour shaping. If we do this, and you might remember doing this as a child, lots of activities like this, going through these processes, this is how we structure our practices in order to strengthen a stimulus response bond for passing. Now, once we've done this, let's say for example people have gone through this process, if we want the stimulus response bond to be as strong as it can possibly be, we need to take into consideration reinforcement. So let's have a look at how that would work. So once we've got this section set up, now what we need to do then is use 2 types of reinforcement plus one other additional way of strengthening or weakening SR bonds. So let's have a look then. First thing we can do is as follows. We need to use something called positive reinforcement. Once we've set our practices up, we've structured the conditions, we've then done a period of trial and error, and then we've focused on behaviour shaping. When those things are happening, we then need to use the following. Positive reinforcement basically refers to praise, which is used to strengthen a stimulus response bond towards a desired response, e.g. the correct passing technique. So this would be, if we're going to put an example in here, e.g. a coach saying well done for passing through the target. Okay, so that then, passing through the target is the desired response. Okay, and there you can see, so praise is used to strengthen an SR bond towards a desired response, and you put a good example in for that. The other way it can be used, and this is really, really important, positive reinforcement is very similar to positive feedback. The thing we have to be aware of is there is another type of reinforcement, and this reinforcement is called negative reinforcement. Now, negative reinforcement is very different to negative feedback. And the reason why is this. Negative reinforcement refers to the removal of a negative stimulus to strengthen an SR bond towards a desired response. What does that mean? Well, we know that negative feedback is information following an incorrect response. Okay, but negative reinforcement works like this. Now, what I'm going to do is, if I imagine now, I'm going to take you into, say, a football situation here. Let's say, for example, a football player passes the ball and they keep missing the goal. Okay. Now, negative reinforcement means you've got to remove a negative stimulus. So a coach, every time the player misses, they might say, bad pass, bad pass, bad pass, every time they miss the goal. Okay. When the player passes the ball through the goal, the coach removes the negative stimulus and they might just say silent. So every time, let's go through a period of 5. First pass, missed, bad pass. Second, bad pass. Third, bad pass. Fourth, bad pass. Fifth. That silence means the coach has removed the negative stimulus, bad pass, when there has been a successful attempt. So if you see down to here, negative reinforcement is the removal of a negative stimulus to strengthen an SR bond towards a desired response. So what that means is, if a football player hears a coach keep saying bad pass, bad pass, bad pass, and then they hear them say nothing, e.g. they've removed the negative stimulus, that makes them think, right, I quite liked that silence, so from now on I'm going to try and make sure I pass the ball through the goal, okay, which is the desired response. So hopefully you can see how that works. I'll put that into an example, and you can see how that works. The final way that coaches or people, teachers, whatever, try to, suppose, strengthen an SR bond towards a desired response is actually through something called punishment, which you'll have heard of. Now, punishment refers to, it's different to negative reinforcement, because negative reinforcement is the removal of a negative stimulus, whereas punishment is the use of a negative stimulus to weaken the the stimulus response bond towards an undesired response. What does that mean? So in this case, this is the kind of bad cop, I suppose. So if this situation happens and a football player tries to pass the ball through the goal, but they miss, okay, continuously miss, the coach might say to them, right, I'm going to give a negative stimulus for this. That might be the coach saying, right, you need to do 10 laps because you've missed 5 passes in a row. Now, straight away, as you can see, the idea is that this negative stimulus will weaken, e.g., you've got to run 10 laps around the pitch because you've missed 5 passes. It will weaken the stimulus response bond towards the undesired response, e.g., missing the target. Okay, and hopefully that will lead to strengthening the SR bond towards a desired response, passing through the target. So hopefully you can see how that works. We've got the practice section, 3 parts of how we use operant condition, and then once we've done the practice block, this is the way we reinforce it to try and strengthen stimulus response bonds towards a desired response. So this is what you will need to do. You need to get these 3 components in, and you need to link them to examples. You could get separate exam questions on these, so it's really important the terminology is correct. Okay, make good notes. Second 2 slides are what you really need, optional for the first slide. Okay, thank you.